think just today in the morning I asked Nitesh, "You think I'm like really crazy, right?" He looked at me and he said, "No, but you're an artist, so it's okay."
Welcome to Questions I Wanted to Ask with Anshu. Our first guest for Questions I Wanted to Ask is filmmaker and screenwriter Ashwiny Iyer Tiwari, who's directed several feature films including Nil Battey Sannata, Bareilly ki Barfi, Panga, and has recently announced the biopic on Mr. Narayan Murthy. Beyond her work, Ashwini is a painter, potter, a voracious reader, and someone who loves staying close to nature. But for me, she's one of the most wonderful women I've had the opportunity to know, to meet, and work. A mother of twins, and an absolutely amazing human being, and a beautiful artist who's constantly striving to bring beautiful narratives through her art. Ashwini, welcome to the opening episode of Questions I Wanted to Ask. Thank you so much for doing this, with me. I'm excited as well as honored to have you for the opening episode, like I was telling you.
Thank you for always being there for so many years now, and I'm glad that you look very happy now. So, which is
Thank you, I am.
so the best thing is that with women is that I think it's with every human is that when you start loving yourself enough and when you start taking care of yourself enough and when you know what you want is when it starts reflecting even in everyone else's. So that it's like an effect. It's a magic effect which happens. Yeah.
I know. It's that process of loving myself. I've taken a lot of time to be able to reach there. I think I'm still building on it. But actually, you kind of put it very right. It's the process of loving yourself, and then you start identifying everything about you, and you start fixing up things and all. And this also got me thinking that it's been so many years I know you. I think even before Bareilly, when even you were just starting Bareilly ki Barfi, to now when you're doing the next big major feature with Mr. and Mrs. Murthy. It's, and I've seen their journey and you juggling so many of these things, even work wise. It's not never कि आप सिर्फ एक feature कर रहे हो, आप constantly ad films direct कर रहे होते हो, आप कुछ लिख रहे होते हो, आप books तो I think you are like surrounded by them. You're constantly reading something, putting it up on.
Like people hoard jewelry, people hoard shoes. I'm a book hoarder. I hoard books.
No, I know you have a special penchant for jewelry and clothes also. That I'm going to come later.
Oh,
You'd gone on a solo trip, not a solo, I think with your friend to explore the different, weaves of Gujarat and all of that. And I think that's one of the trips. And I was like, wow, how does she do that? Like, I wanted to discuss, what was your frame of mind when you went there? Why did you want to do that?
So maybe because I've always been an explorer right from the beginning, and I never felt that I think also my parents never made me feel that maybe I'm a girl and therefore I wouldn't. And I'm talking this about the 70s, right?
Yeah.
The 70s born. So my parents never made me feel like that. So maybe that's why I was always nurtured to be an explorer, to explore different kinds of things, music, whether it's music, art, whether it is love for plants, nature. Uh, Also, I think there's one thing really stuck in my brains that my mother had told me that you need to educate yourself, you need to fall in love, you need to get married, you need to have kids, but you need to continue working. And this, I think, I've also told you this along this, that really struck me. And I felt that there is more to life than doing just one thing. So yes, making movies is my passion, telling stories is my passion, but beyond that, I need to explore myself in lots of different ways, is because that helps me be creative, that helps me be not monotonous, that also helps me to get away from the rat race of any kind of work we do, which
So
gives.
is that the way you disconnect yourself, whenever you want to take break from either home or from work? Is this way, like when you travel and all of that, that's how you disconnect?
Yeah, so maybe the lockdown was the longest time I have stayed at home, is because my feet were itching, is that I have not traveled. The idea of travel also changed in years. So when I was 25, my idea of travel, let me start from 18 maybe. 17, 18 was a time when you used to travel, because I'm from an art school. So I always used to travel for art food, where you have to go and do live sketching wherever we go, and that. And then went on to doing treks, various places. And then I think as you grew, then it was about a little bit of soul searching. So you kind of go, you do travel on your own. And so I went to Pondicherry. I stayed there in Auroville. From Auroville, I was staying in this really beautiful French house in Auroville, and he and his daughter were going he and his daughter and her sister, like he and his two daughters, were going to this whole Tanjore and all these places by car. So they asked me whether you want to join, and I said, okay, I'll join. And that's how I saw so many places. I met so many new people. Then I come back, and then again I travel, do something. But I've always been a learner. So I always wanted to learn new things. And because photography is a passion, photography has been a subject for me in my art school. And, that's always been an integral part, is because I'm an art director, you say, by education. So,
By education.
so it is important that that part of me will always be there. But then, as and when you started moving on, I was very interested in people and culture, and it was important for me that in my all my experiences when I was working in advertising, we used to do a lot of research. So that's how we used to meet so many different kinds of people. We started studying ethnography of people, and the culture and how they stay, what they do, how they live, which is more of a statistical kind of research which we do. But that really helped me, is that because there was more beyond the cities of our country. And then you go, you meet different kinds of people. Then slowly and steadily, because of my love for nature, I love being in the forest. I feel the forest is the only place where you cannot control it, because once you're inside the forest, the forest controls you. So my love for forest was so much that I always felt that in a year I need to go twice to the forest.
And what do you do? Like you go alone, or you go with the kids and Nitesh and everyone, or
Nitesh was never into this, but I think once he got
gotten
married,
used to it?
that he's anyways with a mad person. So he is like, I'm not a mad person. I think very passionate.
Passionate, yeah, yeah.
So he has to go with the flow. So
Sure.
he also started accompanying me, but he started enjoying the whole aspect. Then I started taking my writers. They started enjoying this, because everyone, you are very patient when you're in the forest.
Forest, yeah.
Keep waiting. And then children came, and I remember taking my children to the forest when they were 6 months old. Right from 6 months old, and today they are like 10 and a half.
So
every year, except last year also we went. No, last year we didn't go. So I mean, 20 was redundant for me.
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, also a lot of learning. So I would never say that. But yeah. So till 2019, and hopefully this year, every year, it's been 12 years now. We have been forest every year.
But my question is that so you've traveled and you wandered and you've done a lot of these treks and all of that. How did that change after the twins? I mean, you have two lovely twins, and they were too young. And especially, I mean, I don't have a twin, but I don't have twins, but I know it's very difficult when they're especially young, right? How did that change, or did you adjust, or like what happened when the twins came in, and how did that those soul searching pursuits कितने changes आए उसमें आप?
Basically, I think when we decide as a couple to have children, that's not for that's for everyone who
Everybody,
two independent individuals who are very progressive in nature, but do want to have
family.
Do want to have a family. It's important that the decision of having a child is mutual. And that is very important for me. And also, I do feel that it is important that as much as the woman gives birth to a child, it's also the father's
The
responsibility
father.
to be equally responsible of rearing the child.
You and Nitesh are such highly like creatively led people, right? The house is led by two people whose professions are also creatively led. How do you ensure a balance at home? I mean, I know Nitish has done his engineering and all of that stuff, but how do you ensure a balance at home where, in today's day and age, like you mentioned about no iPad day and all of that stuff, how do you ensure a balance that while the kids are continuously being exposed to or whatever are using, consuming internet or, the electronic devices, but at the same time are close to, their own inner self or creativity or whatever you want to term it. How do you do that? Like as parents or as you as a mother?
I think it is about, like I said before, also, it is about talking to them as friends. And especially at an age which is almost preteens, it's important that you keep telling them what is right and what is wrong, and give them the responsibility to start engaging themselves in the surroundings, and also to acknowledge and understand what it is. If you, I mean, you got what I said is because
Taking responsibility of themselves, most
responsibility
importantly.
of themselves. I think that is important, and I also feel it's important to let go a bit.
Hmm.
Yes, there would be times of worry. You would always worry. You would, I mean, that those things will always happen. But it is important to be a friend and talk like a friend, and talk as if you're talking to a friend. I think that's what we have adapted, uh, because when you say, I think it's also human. And I still remember when my mother used to tell me, you do not do that, or you cannot do that, then I would say, why? Versus saying that, you the reason why you should not do that is so and so, and you can check for yourself, then there's a more understanding there.
Interesting. Interesting.
So what
But
we did was that, when we just saw, especially when it was a lockdown, and then there were like these holidays which came in. So basically, there is no school also. So
yeah.
then it's very obvious that you will be playing games,
Hmm.
because that's what it is, and this is a generation where all the kids are there. But then there's a slight timeline need to be kept for that.
Sure.
So what we did was that, we found a kid site, and we said that the the good and bad points of playing games.
Hmm.
That's it. And we showed them that article in their own language if they could understand what it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
So let them take a call on what they want to do, basically.
yeah, but then they understand that. I'm sure they understand all these things, and then
Hmm.
if they go back to it, it's then it is like reprimanding you for 2 days, nothing doing now. So yeah, I mean, there's a, like, I
The
think that
other side of the mother comes out.
that's no, that's, I think they're in every house, right?
Every
I'm
house.
sure
Yeah,
that
I
in
agree.
every house the bad cop and the good cop is there in every
Oh,
house.
I think in my house it's every day, and there is only bad cop.
Yeah, bad cop,
It's
good cop. One day someone has to be the bad cop, and then otherwise the most amazing cop is the grandmother.
oh, 100%, 100%.
And even more amazing cops are the chacha chachis and the taujis and tais
Oh,
and everyone.
I mean, those kids who have, people and the family around are, I would always say, blessed. But I think your mother has been very, very instrumental in helping you. Like you've had a very, very solid support system, post the twins were born. Do you want to talk about how important it is for the men and the family, to be around the woman, post she delivers so that she can quickly get back to work? Because I think one of the most challenging times of any woman's life is once she delivers, because especially the first kid or in your case twins, because आपको पता ही नहीं होता कि क्या हो रहा है आपके around.
Yeah, so when I had twins, I was like what the hell, I
Just
looked
happened.
at little things and I was like, oh God, what happened? I still remember my doctor said that they are your kids. I said, yeah, but then I bursted out. I think it was all the hormones which were just coming out, and
All the
it happens to every woman.
yeah.
And suddenly I said, oh, it was almost like, oh my God, my career is gone. I can't see a future now.
So you did see you did have those moments of self doubt. But
Yeah,
how did you come out of that?
I think it came out purely because hats off to Nitesh,
Hmm.
who was always there and who was an amazing support during those that 1 year where you need the maximum support.
Maximum.
My mother was there, and I should also give a lot of respect and due credit to my nanny who came in, and my cook,
100%.
my cook.
Uh,
Um, she's been there with me for like 17 years now, and a lot of things when you're very doubtful about, like how do you swaddle, what do you do, how do you give a bath, or those
those small
things, that
things.
everything. And but I feel that when we have such amazing support system at home, then things just work beautifully.
So how long did you
I feel
resume
that
work?
everyone has their own little responsibility. So
Yeah.
they just take up their own little responsibility. Mom is
But
obviously she can't swaddle and give.
swaddle and all that.
Then
Yeah.
I had a very amazing nanny who's still with me, who has always
I
been
know.
there. He's also been 11 years with me now. And I think that's important. I never feel ashamed to say that, because I think it is important to have a good support system in place, to give yourself also the due credit that you have an identity before you had a child. So
Yeah. Yeah.
continue with that identity and double up that identity
Yeah.
after you
Yeah.
have a child.
But
Now, I'm
actually,
not only for working women. I'm not
yeah.
saying all. I'm only saying that as an individual, whether
Yeah.
homemaker, whether you have a small business from home, whether you're working from home, whether you're working outside of home, whatever you're doing, uh, even if you even if you're a homemaker but you sing very well, or you dance very well, or you were a health freak, what happens is that there is like a yeah, of course you'll have a setback for like 3-4 months, but then it just becomes a lazy thing which
This
just comes
thing.
with
You
the
start getting reasons. You start having reasons.
reasons, and then you take all the responsibility on yourself, that everything is your
Yeah.
responsibility, which I don't
It's
think
not. It's
it is.
not.
In
Yeah.
this age, I don't think so it is. I feel that the responsibility comes in from everyone who chips in, and
Yeah.
ultimately you're the mother of this beautiful
Little creatures.
and that will always be there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically like whatever support system you have around you, you start like trusting them a little bit to start chipping in, and so that you have the energy to go back to also work.
Yeah, and also energy to go back to work, or even go for 1 hour to a salon and
This
pamper yourself, or go meet your friends and have lunch.
Yeah, but it's important that you start giving, after you become a mother, you start giving that time to yourself so that you get back your confidence and your identity.
Exactly. It is more about feeling good of your own self, and also feeling good of yourself that, hey, you know what, you're a mother now. And that's such a
Hmm.
beautiful feeling. So I feel that should never go. But your identity of who you are as a person also should never go.
But
Like,
did that change after the kids?
if you're the kind who loves going out to meet your friends every weekend for lunches, if you're someone who loves wearing beautiful clothes,
It should stay on.
stay on. All these things should
Yeah.
stay on.
But Ashwini, there's so many changes that also happens to your body, right? After you give birth to a baby. Uh, while you and I maybe, move out and we kind of interact with people to slightly get that confidence back. And,
No, but
we are blessed to have.
I didn't. I put on so many kilos after I had my twins, and it was a C-section. I couldn't recognize myself as because I was a trekker. I used to cycle. I was such a sports person, and suddenly I gave away myself in terms of looking after myself, and I put on so many kilos.
Yeah.
So just one of my very close dear friend had a baby right now, and the first thing I told her was that, she said, I'm going back now after 3 months. I said, yeah, you have to, you have to start slowly. Whatever, you have to start slowly doing that is because I think we are staying also in a day and age where gratification always becomes important. And we would be lying to ourselves if we say gratification is not important for every man and woman. And so to say that, hey, you're looking good, and I'm not saying looking good in terms of that we all have like this fantastic figure and all that stuff. No, I'm not talking about any of those things. It is just that, when you're shining inside, you shine outside.
Yeah. I mean, the postnatal care, or taking care of yourself really in the next 1.5 years, whether you're working, not working, doesn't matter. I think it's very, very important, because it just brings back who you are. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing happened with me. It took me almost 3 to 4 years, 5 years, I would say, to come back to originally who I was. I didn't recognize myself, who I was, how I was reacting to things, the
I think
hormonal changes.
hyperventilate. We
Yeah.
hyperventilate on things. We feel we are responsible for everything. Every single thing is our responsibility. Till the time there was a time where once I remember I was calling on the phone. I think, at work. I called up and I said, you know what, you need to do this, this, this. I called up Nitesh and I told him, you know what, you're at home today. Why don't you just tell that, these things have to be done and all that stuff? And he just still one sentence, said, chill. I'm also the father.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it is very self-proclaimed guilt.
Yeah. And the only way to get out of it, or the only way to is to start working on yourself, whatever you like, right?
Only thing is that I feel that if our job as new age parents right now is to inculcate the idea of good well-being for your kids, obviously, with respect to everything, whether it is nature, whether it is people, whether it is anything which happens around you, and also to be good human beings. Beyond that, they're learning everything in school, and also, more importantly, what I feel is that we as parents, which it is true that the children learn a lot from how the parents are. But if we start giving that you need to do this, you need to do this, then they'll start thinking only in that direction. But for them to evolve as individual thinkers, it is important that we give them that little leverage to even make those little
To grow
mistakes.
and evolve.
Grow and evolve. Like I remember now in this online school, of course, all children have gone through a serious tough time to get adjusted to this whole online school because they're not meeting their friends in person, not their teachers. It's everything is on the computer. And they sometimes even forget to do their project work or homework, whatever it is called. And I had a parent teacher meeting, and the teacher told me that, your son has not done your homework. And I asked him, did you not do your homework? He said, first he said yes, then no, then he said yes. And then we told him that you don't do the homework, you will get reprimanded for it. So I'm not going to be the one sitting with you and saying, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework. I don't think so. My parents ever did that. I think our generation parents never did that to us. They were like, "Karo apne khud ka."
Anyways, but Ashwini, coming back to just after you had given birth to the kids. And I actually want to talk about how when you start having a lot of these emotional changes that you go through after kids and all of that, it starts somewhere reflecting in how you interact with people at work, etc., right? Did you ever feel your interactions or people at work, etc., because you also are like always constantly meeting new people because of being at different sets and locations? Did you feel that that changed, your confidence level dropped, etc., in stuff like that?
No, I was very lucky is because when I gave birth to my children, I was still working in an agency called Leo Bennett. I had brilliant agency heads, and I think the work culture totally depends on who is managing the
Managing
company.
the
And
company.
I had brilliant people like Arvind Sharma and KV Sridhar, who was managing the company, and their work ethics was like, don't worry about anything. In fact, even before I delivered the kids, I remember Arvind Sharma calling me one day and telling me that you're going to feel very bad after you give birth to children, thinking that you're losing out on a lot of things at work. But don't worry about that. When you come back, everything
That's
is just
so
going to be
lovely.
great. I think that is very, very important.
Yeah.
Encouragement from the closest person is your husband, right?
Hmm.
Is your partner,
Hmm.
and he also needs to give you that much encouragement. There would be, see, your thinking pattern cannot be same for every. You can't expect the same thinking pattern for everyone around you.
Yeah.
There will be
Yeah.
some people who would like I didn't have those any of those point of views, but I'm saying in a if you see an overall setup, there may be some women who would face those issues
Yeah.
where the husband is saying something, but then the in-laws will say something else, and the
Something else.
mother will say something
I
else. And
mean,
everyone
it's a very common issue.
have a point of view on everything when a child is born, and how
Yeah.
you should also be, what you should be doing. Uh, Without disrespecting anyone, I feel it is important to take everyone's point of view into place. But the most important point of view is to take your husband's point of view, is because you're in it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm no superwoman. If you tell me that, oh, you're leaving your kids at home and you're going to work, or I made Nil Battey Sannata when my kids were 3 years old, 2013. Uh, gone to Agra and shot there for 1.5 months without being super comfortable, knowing that Nitesh is at home taking care of the kids and my mom is there and I have a great support system.
Hmm.
So that is important. Peace of mind is the most important thing. That peace of mind is that whatever gives you peace of mind,
Hmm.
with you and your relationship with your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you should not worry about what the worker says, and because everyone will have a point of view on what you say. I have had questions of, oh, you're out of home for 1.5 months to shooting here, so who's going to take care of the kids? Those are the
Yeah.
kind of questions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now you can questions in two ways. Either you feel like extremely bad about it and you like pack up and you come back home, or you take it in the right spirit and you say, and you feel very proud and happy that you have a good support system at home and amazing
Yeah.
husband very willing to take care of your dreams and aspirations,
As much
and
as his.
also as much as this and as much as the kids who have come
Yeah.
into the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it is all about that. It is
Yeah.
all about at the end of the day.
But tell me something. I mean, we both of us are in a profession which is still
See, we are still the very privileged ones who have a good support system at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think more than half of
More than
women
that.
do not have.
That. Yeah. But Ashwini, you are, I know you have an excellent team of writers and your DOPs and your, all of these guys who you worked with for years, I think, mostly men. But how comfortable is it because when you started out, I think 10, 12 years back as one of the only few female directors, how comfortable were you discussing money, your fee, etc., with whosoever, you had to discuss? Is it something that you learned as in the
No,
process?
I don't think so. I had so many issues is because I've worked in advertising like for 16, 17 years, and I've always interacted with amazing men who are some of my closest friends even today. I have so many good friends across the India's industry of my client servicing guys or even some of my amazing clients brands whom we worked with. Then so it was just a very organic process, and like I said, I've never thought of myself as a woman in a man's world. I've never done that. Even when we started out in advertising, not too many women till a point of time when we were asked to hire more women into the field. So that is there. And then when you get into films, for the longest time, I was only called sir, and I found it very funny, is because that is it is very intrinsic to figure out and say that you know what, this is how it's going to be. Um, uh, but I never had those issues, and I will. I don't think so. I still have. I have a lot of guy friends, and I'm most comfortable with them. And um, I don't know. It's never been on top of my mind.
uh,
Just
Comfortable with discussing finances and fee and all of that. Coming back to your work, I still want to know, Ashwini, do you have, like, for a year, like now since 2021 started, you have something on going on floor. Currently, you're editing something. Uh, the next big features there, and then the kids are going through so much of change. How do you structure? I mean, I want to learn, how do you structure your time, and in terms of priorities, do you give yourself priorities? And so this is structuring between your work, between the kids and family, and commitments, social commitments, as well as the same time that you give to yourself for soul searching or improvement or whatever you want to, or for self love. How do you structure that?
where structuring happened during the lockdown is because from a time when you didn't have to cook,
Huh.
everything was taken care of, right? Right from washing the clothes and to cooking and to cleaning the house and
Yeah.
everything. All
Yeah.
those, the most important things is taken care of.
Yeah.
So then you don't have anything much to do because then you're only concentrating on your work and your kids and all those kind of things. The most important realization of being disciplined came during that time when I used to have my meetings only after 4 o'clock. And we're very
Because
happy to say, wanted to cook, clean, wash the vessels, and then we will speak.
I know you used to put up those lovely posts on Insta also, cooking. And I mean, you always put up food posts, but you used to put up a lot of those cooking videos, during
Yeah, because
during
I found that
lockdown.
challenge to myself of learning something new.
Yeah.
So instead of going to London to learn printmaking, I learned. I think I'm glad I did that. So which I would have never done otherwise, right? Because
Huh.
my passion is not cooking, so it's eating, so it's not cooking. So yeah, you have moments is because I'm still a creative person at the end of the day. So I will have my bizarre lazy moments which will come in, which will creep in very happily. There'll be days when I would just be only reading and I won't do anything. Yesterday I just thought of I suddenly just realized that, oh god, I have have to study uh, something new, and I've been pushing this way too forward. So I just saw this year, so I've been like learning how to do lithography.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this suddenly yesterday in the evening. So today morning when I woke up, the first thing was to sit and
Do
do
this.
do this. So I kind of don't have a structure in mind in my head, but the only thing which I do is, and which is something which I've learned, is that be in the moment and whatever you do it fully.
Sure.
So if I don't have any disciplined time that every day in the morning I have to sit and write. It's not like that. But if I feel it's on my mood, if I feel that I like that I'm doing that, I'll do that. If I feel like nagging my kids, I'll go and nag my kids. If suddenly I feel that they have not cleaned their room, the cupboards are dirty and everything, that will happen. There are days when I'll be like, real. So yeah, so it is a very lenient discipline, but yeah. But when I'm doing that thing, then I do it completely.
There are so many of these young girls who want to come, in filmmaking, whether it's as writers and directors, and who have no connection in the past and all of that. Of course, we all know if you have talent and if you're hardworking and all of that stuff, you'll find your way, you'll figure that way. But are there any rules or guide? Are there any basic things that these young girls from small towns in India or from wherever they come, to be able to become, for example, get the kind of success or see the kind of work that you have created? Are there any important things to keep in mind for these young girls?
I think I would just take my example. Not that I've achieved something really big or anything like that. I still have a very long way to go. I'm
We
still
all have, but yeah, I mean,
a dreamer. uh, I still want to do a whole lot of things. But I feel that no one can ever stop you from achieving what you really want to achieve. But that
sure,
achieve and the dream can only happen with a lot of hard work and honesty to yourself.
sure,
So I think that is the most important thing, and to be driven all the time. Um, for me, it has always been. I remember that in my fourth year of college of art school, I very clearly put in, that I need to get a silver medal or a gold medal in my final year, and I put it down. It's like almost like an intention board.
vision board, yeah,
Time now, it's a very cool word to use, but I
yeah,
think it is about always putting out. There's a lot of difference between wishing and doing.
sure,
What you wish for and what you dream of, you have to even start putting it into work. So if you
wow,
want to be a filmmaker, right now there are lots of colleges who give you that the facilities of going and studying there, and from there then you need to prove yourself. The only thing I like would like to say youngsters, whether it's a girl or a boy, is that they never stop dreaming, but also put in equally the hard work. Only knowledge of that everyone can know. Only knowledge of saying that I've watched so many films and I know this director made this
cinema,
film. And,
yeah,
this was a Neuer film and this was a Parisian film and this thing and that thing or whatever. Yes, it's important to learn films. That's how things happen. Uh, it's important to study films. But because you did that doesn't mean that you know it all. You have to go through the rig of of learning. Everyone has a time and a place when things happen.
beautiful,
Uh, and I think that happens with everyone. It's just not filmmaking. It is in every plays that
yeah,
just finish and then they by the time it's 2 years they want to be everything there.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
possible. I'd not say it's not possible. It is possible, but there's a little hard work which goes into it,
yeah, yeah,
and step by step.
yeah, yeah,
Because yes, you say you want to make a film, you want to be a director, but then being a director comes with a
doesn't
lot of
happen in,
responsibilities, because
yeah,
managing a crew of 100 people, over 100 people, it is about managing. It's being an HR person. It is also being uh, uh,
listening to so many people, so many
uh,
egos,
to understand how teamwork is done. It is
yeah,
also about knowing art, about music, about everything which just comes along. And in a set, when you're not sticking to a timeline, and when something goes wrong or you have to take a quick decision, all eyes are on you, on no one else.
yeah,
So the maturity of making a film, and whether it's any other thing, comes only through experience. And I think the more experience we get is what makes
more,
us good professional in any field. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Make
I think that part where you said about wishing versus actually doing is so interesting, because we all wish for so many things, but जब करने की बारी आती है, तो we don't really do it, and I think that kind of separates all of us, or separate majorly, people who succeed versus people who are just thinking and doing.
Yeah, so this is something which I've seen, and so you can keep wishing, you can say, keep saying that, um, okay,
I want this.
let me give a very simple example. Okay, um, I want a rose plant in my house. I want a rose plant in my house. I want a rose plant in my house. So till the time you say it, it's okay. But then you need to go and get a sapling also from the nursery. Okay, so
Yeah.
you get the sampling, and then you keep looking at the say, oh, yeah, I've got a rose plant. Now it's such a beautiful rose plant. But till the time you don't put water into it every day, the rose is not going to grow.
Yeah.
And you have to see it blooming. So you have to do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why they say, right, the 21-day ritual is
Habit.
actually very correct. Is because
Yeah.
I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, and I want to do this, I want to do this. But till the time you don't get up and you don't go and
Do
do it,
it.
happen.
Yeah.
And also to not to just be at it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because that's how we finish screenplays, and that's
Yeah.
how we get into,
Writing
because
is.
you need concentrated time, whether it is 1 hour or whether it's 3 hours. But the the idea of habit and ritual is very important for
Important.
any profession. For
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
profession, that you
Yeah.
have to complete it, which means you have to sit and make sure that you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find the resources which will happen, and I think it's also important to have a goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started training for running now, and my coach asked me. I said no, I'm 41, but I think I can start training for running, and I need to do that. He he called me and told me, so be ready, 6 o'clock in the morning, and my jaw dropped. So and he said, what is your thing? I said that I want to. I've always dreamt that I had trekked a lot in the Himalayas when I was really young. That was 2016, ages back, and I want to go back there. I want to trek. I want to cycle in Ladakh. I want to do those things. So he said, where is your target? I said, 1 year. I didn't say like 6 months. So he said, okay, this is your target. This is what you need to do. Get ready 6 o'clock in the morning. First 3 days, I was like this. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know whether I was sleeping or whether I was awake. So because my body was sore, I tired. It was very different thing. So there are times when you say, okay, just send a message and say you can't do it today now. Let's not get up in the morning. It's such a beautiful weather when the whole house is sleeping. But you hating yourself so much and getting up in the morning and
This is
going.
discipline and wishing versus doing.
That is
Yeah.
discipline. That okay,
Yeah.
I will curse myself to take up this challenge, but yeah, but that's what it is, and it has to be a discipline. So, and this is something which I also learned when we are shooting a film. It is a discipline. Every day you have a 7 o'clock shift, or when it's a 9 o'clock shift,
Whatever. Huh.
but it's like almost like an army discipline you get into.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's 10 o'clock shift, then you have to be on set at 6:15, which means you get up at 4 o'clock. You finish all your personal stuff, and then you go. The team meets at a particular point. One team will go in one car, the other team will go in the other car. All the teams will reach at certain point there, and then breakfast will happen, and then they'll go to set. It happens every day of the time during a schedule of whatever time. If it's evening, then evening. If it is morning, then morning. But it happens every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Routine.
Yeah. But this is, yeah, I mean, that discipline. And I think I'm throughout this conversation, what I've understood is, Ashwini,
Uh,
uh
Sorry, Anshu. This discipline, I think we have also seen a lot with our mothers,
yeah, yeah,
whether they were homemakers or whether they were
yeah, I mean,
working as teachers. I have seen this discipline throughout my
they
life.
spend years doing the same thing,
My grandma, my Masi, my mom, everyone. My Masi
yeah,
was a homemaker. My grandmother has been a homemaker. My mother was a school principal. But I've seen this discipline every day of their lives. They never cribbed off. And this is, I think, this is I learned is because I felt that you always, and this lockdown again teaches you those kind
which
of
is a
things.
thing.
Just get too carried away with following a life which may not be particularly yours. You may not enjoy doing it, but you want to be a certain way, and then you get
Yeah,
back. What, this is not what it is. Uh, they do it every day. They used to get up in the morning. They'll go for a bath. They'll do this thing. They start cooking. The afternoon lunch is ready. Then once the afternoon lunch is done, then she will read her books. She's very good in embroidery. She'll do her tailoring. This thing will happen, and still she'll find time for everything else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's discipline. In fact, very aptly you mentioned about living. I think this almost brings me close to this conversation towards the end of the podcast. But just last two questions, Ashwini. You mentioned about being in an industry wherein sometimes you have to do things which you may not enjoy, right? I want to ask that in an industry, and I think you and I are quite aware of that, in an industry which is full of glamour, beauty, late night hours, and a lot of other things that might not go with the lifestyle of, say, being a mother, or being a wife who has multiple other things. How do you still, one, stay rooted? I know a part of your answer will be through discipline, but how have you managed to stay rooted in spite of all of this? And also, I think, bring that out through your movies, whether it was Bareilly, whether it was Panga. I remember messaging you after Panga saying, Ashwini, I could relate so much from the film. I'm not a sports person, but I could relate so much. The film was very, very rooted for me. How do you manage to stay rooted in an industry which is full of glamour?
I think that, Anshu, to answer your question, every it is not only the entertainment industry, but I think every industry has its own pros and cons, and whether you're in the banking sector or whether you're in the hotel industry or whether you're in any kind of sector which IT, everything, it's all different. Advertising, everything is different. It's up to you on what is your end focus.
Sure.
I think every industry has its own pros and cons, and it is important that we, as individuals, know what is our end purpose. So our
Yeah.
end purpose could be anything, and for me, my end purpose was only the reason I got into making films, because I was having a very amazing job in my agency where I was heading a company. I was I was traveling. I was traveling
Yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
Like
I know you've
when
spoken about you. Hmm.
for our parents, we have arrived when we travel. By flight, and we have like cars coming and picking us up from the
Yeah.
office. So
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
paid for all your travels and everything,
Yeah.
and this class also after that
Certain
whole after
ages.
a certain level
Yes.
in your
Yes.
office. So everything was there. And then when you get in your salary bifurcation, you have a little amount for buying a car, and you have driver which comes in from the office. So for your parents, you've arrived there.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So for this middle class girl, to leave everything and to get back to basics, to start from the beginning, after a good 16 years of working, it
In
was a
advertising.
form of storytelling, is because I was still a part of the entertainment
Hmm.
and the advertising media industry
Hmm.
for a long time. And there are some cross, you
Yeah, yeah, they go parallel. Yeah.
but still my focus was that I just needed to tell stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and my purpose was that. So even at a certain point of time, when people really didn't know that it was I who made Bareilly ki Barfi, or I who made even, I think now some people do not, maybe people do not know that I made Panga, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, because I feel that the joy is that when you meet someone and you introduce yourself, or and they say, "Oh, you have made that film." I think
Film.
that is more joyous for me,
Yeah.
and it ends up sums up everything which my son said, that my stories and the movies which I make in any form of storytelling, whether it is in the form of my art, or whether it's in the form of my movies, or whether it's in the form of my um whatever, even what I'm doing with you right now, if that can live past me, then
Yeah.
I don't think so. It matters um how I look, but I think my imparting knowledge is more important for
More
me.
important.
My I feel that my stories in any form should live beyond me, and for the archives, and like my son summed it up really well. uh, Also, I feel that it is what I say and what I do, and if I'm very true to what I'm doing, that is more important, and that comes to everyone. That I think you have to be true to yourself when you look
True
at
to
it
yourself.
when you say that what is your purpose in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I recently read a very beautiful interview by Mr. Harsh Mariwala,
Mariwala. Mariko.
Mariko, and he said that that is him saying. He's saying that, in at every stage of your life, if you decide and know what your purpose of life is at that
Is.
given point of time, then
Yeah.
you will go only towards that. And your purpose of life
Yes.
can be anything. If
Yes.
the purpose of life is to only tell beautiful stories, and to only share my knowledge and my love for nature, for cinema, for all forms of art, and my enthusiasm, but still being who I am, who's my real self, then I think
Yeah.
I'm happy being there.
Lovely. This is so amazing. I think this is one question I always wanted to ask you. मैंने आपसे I think through these years बहुत directly indirectly ये सब चीजें पूछी है, but just to have you and put this in the form of a structure and even make an impact to as many women as possible, I think my purpose will be solved. uh, Ashwini, thank you so much for giving time. I know you're in middle of too many productions and all of the things, but thank you so much for taking time out to do this, talking to me and sharing so much about your life.
Thank you so much. I just sum up this with this thing in the morning. Just today in the morning, I asked Nitesh, "You think I'm like really crazy, right?" And these ideas is because, like I told you, that I was sitting and carving today in the morning, so it is just kept here. That's why I remembered. He looked at me and he said, "No, but you're an artist, so it's okay."
Oh,
An idea. So,
lovely. I think I've got my promo moment. But this
yes.
is this is beautiful. Ashwini, all the best for
Much. Thank you for being always so smiling and supportive of everything, and also sometimes believing in me more than I believe in myself. So thank you for that. So
my pleasure. I think it's been a pleasure. I've been fortunate to work with you in the past and interact with you, know you at both personal and professional level. And I think that's why it was very important that I talk to you in a more structured manner and share your story with so many other women who want to hear this. Thank you for watching this. If you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure you hit the like button, comment what was your favorite part, and also subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to press the bell notification to never miss a new episode because we have a lot more coming. This podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Google, GeoSavan by the name Questions I Wanted to Ask. You can listen to it wherever you like. Link will be in the description. You can follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And all the links are in the description. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.